my name is Randi Kurtzer, and I am an academic life coach, and I am living in Raleigh, North Carolina. Been here about 18 years, originally a New Yorker. So, when I think back on how I got here, there was a fair amount of childhood trauma in my life, and with real lasting effects that required therapy to resolve those issues. And along the way, because of the trauma, there was a lot of second guessing and not really knowing who I was. But along the way, I kind of always surrounded myself with people that I trusted, because trust was an issue for me. And I was lucky enough to know who to surround myself with and not. And that helped to grow. It allowed me to it gave me the space I needed to grow as a person. So kind of fast forward to the years in which you have to make those critical decisions about what do you want to major in, what do you want to work at. I don't think I ever really knew what my passions were, but I always managed to seek out things that would give me stability and financial freedom. So I have no regrets about anything I've ever done. But that sort of always lingered in the back of my mind. So when it came to finding out about coaching, and I think I may have mentioned this earlier, I'd see so many people that really weren't following their passions. And it's not that they would tell me they didn't know what they are. They just were kind of doing what I was doing, how can I make the most money? Or how can I work in this field? And not knowing if that's what they even really wanted, but it was like what they were supposed to do. So, as I mentioned earlier, following Sean's passing, I just thought, I want to be that person to help guide people, and not so much tell them, but help them figure out who they are. Because if they can do that, maybe it can save some time on their end to really pursue their passions. So that's my story. I love connecting with people, and I love to figure out what makes people tick. And I think that when you can learn about what makes you tick, it just opens up a whole world. And so it enables you to be the best you can be. And I've seen that as I've coached other people, and as other people have coached me. So that's kind of the initial draw. How I actually got to here was definitely a journey. I was a speech language pathologist, and I was looking into coaching because somebody local had taken the program. But I wasn't ready. I knew I wanted to retire first. And my son was in college and was on his college baseball team. And unfortunately, one of his fellow pitchers committed suicide. And after that happened, it just rocked everyone's world. And I just thought, I am eligible to retire. What am I sitting here doing? Yes, I love what I do, but, I want the opportunity to do something else. And, his life, Sean's life, kind of told me it was the right time. And, I'm going to do it. Life's too short. So was really the second part. So here I am. So I am in the process of building, and it's not an easy process for me. I've had 2 careers that were sure things, which for me meant I could always find a job, which meant in the old days when you can open up the classified section and see jobs, oh, I'm going to apply for that job. Now, this is different, building a business. So through coaching, being coached, and through this whole coaching journey, I've learned a lot about myself. And definitely there were limiting beliefs and inner critic. And I feel like I've sorted through so much of that to enable me to get to this point. So I've been enjoying the journey. I've been embracing every moment of it. And yeah, this is someone who swore up and down I'd never have a website. And now I have a website. Now I have a LinkedIn account. Never in a million years. So I've taken the time to embrace and learn and move forward. So that's where I'm at. Making connections, taking courses, just figuring out what's going to help me move, keep the momentum. For me, I like to mix things up. And I have to admit, I'm a person that tends to get bored easy. It's probably a little of that old ADD in me. So I know that I want to attract clients that want to be coached by me based on my story, but I also would love to teach. I want to be part of a bigger community of just me. And, even though I'm still in touch with my 1.0 and 2.0 classmates, which has been wonderful, I want to mix it up. So coaching, teaching, and getting involved in my local chapter of ICF, whatever is out there, just to keep it interesting for me, which can only help my clients. I think the most important thing somebody could do is be coached, because until you're coached, you really have no idea what this is about. I mean, everybody goes into their first class, I want to help people. I'm so good with advice. And you're like, whoa, that's not what this is about. So I really think it is helpful to talk to coaches, be coached. And I don't know if it's even an option to observe a coaching class, but I think do your research. Just so you know, like for me, it really, my whole viewpoint changed as to what I'd be doing, but it still fit in with my vision of wanting to help. You know what? I think the biggest lesson I have learned in life is failing is awesome. I mean, and this has nothing to do with coaching. This is just like, take this wisdom and learn from it. Failing is awesome. The one thing I learned is you can tell me over and over what to do, but unless I figure it out on my own, or unless you figure it out on your own and fail, it's just not going to mean as much. And I've learned, there's nothing better than constructive criticism from somebody who's truly wanting to help you, and embrace it. No matter what you end up doing in life, I think that if you're not going to be willing to fail, it's going to be a tough journey in anything you do. So for me, coaching has given me clarity. I feel like there was always these stories, these patterns, and coaching has taught me, and I'm looking at it from the perspective of being coached. Coaching has taught me how to cut through the nonsense, kind of get rid of the BS. It doesn't mean I don't need coaching. It just means I'm able to cut through stuff so much quicker because I don't have those stories and those patterns hanging over me as much. So I feel like so much of what I learned was gained from being coached. And if there's one thing I learned is how much my inner critic and limiting beliefs have impacted me in my life. and how they held me back. And it's not that I'm not thankful for what I've done and I've enjoyed what I've done, but I might have done other things. And so taking this course and becoming a coach has definitely enabled me to step out of that comfort zone. So when you ask that question, what I think of is, business. And I know that Coach Training EDU has the Biz Launcher. For me, I wasn't ready to take it. I needed to follow my own path at my own speed. So when I look at Coach Training EDU, for me, the community of people has been phenomenal. I don't like being an island unto myself, and I've always enjoyed working with teams on my jobs. And so knowing that, from power hours, book clubs, knowing that I could reach out to staff, I just feel like there's this group of people that have enabled me to not just coach, but to be coached and to learn from them and to explore. And that therefore has resulted in creating a business. So that part is what's been great for me. For me, the biggest influence is probably the person who's had the lasting effect on me. And I think that would have to be my father. And it's funny because it's not until later in life that you realize you really appreciate the wonderful things. I think as you're growing up, you're focusing on the things that annoy you. And it wasn't until later in life that, I realized what a super genuine person he is, and lived his life like that, and just authentic. And there were times in my life I'd be like, oh gosh, am I like my dad? Where he's concerned, there's just no BS. There's no time for it, no place for it. And he does not spend time with people that aren't the same way or who aren't authentic. And at some point I'm like, gosh, I'm like that. Where did that come from? And it kind of stuck that my dad's like that. Oh my gosh. And that connection, when I realized what that was so incredible. And, it made me realize, I hope I'm passing that on too. So yeah, I think it's my dad. This is a tough one. In all honesty, I worked so hard in school, but I wasn't a real student. And it wasn't until I went for my master's degree that I embraced it. But the person I keep going back to was one of my high school English teachers. His name was Mr. Bolliker. And I think because he made everything fun. And there wasn't just a whole lot of fun in my life personally. So I would go to school and so look forward to his class because he was just so real and honest and fun and laughed. And it just was what I needed in my life. So, it's not like I became an English major or anything, but I just enjoyed my time in that class. And that's what I come back to, which I think brings me to now, which is if I can't have fun at what I'm doing, I just don't want to do it. So there has to be a certain level of fun in everything.